Man.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to this episode of Inside the Locker Room. Today, I am joined by AA umpire Ben Phillips. Ben, what's up, man?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be the first guest. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. So today we're talking about pregame and postgame routines of an umpire. So, Ben, do you follow any specific routines on game days?
Yeah, I do. They varied from year to year, and depending on, obviously a lot of it depends on where you are and who you're with and what's available to you. But I would say some of the stuff that remains constant would be, the way I take care of my uniform, get my uniform in order before the game, get into the locker room, change into my locker room clothes, and then right away, get the shoes shined up. It's usually the first thing I do. Get my uniform hung up, ready for wear. Get my laundry from the day before, put that away. That's really the main thing. But other than that, though, those have all varied from year to year throughout my career.
I heard some guys, do you put your shoes on before your pants? Do you have any, when you get dressed weird? Not weird, but you know what I'm talking about.
No, I specifically don't do the shoes before the pants. I actually worked with the guy that did that one time and asked him why he was doing that. And this was before the minor leagues, though. This was in a high school game or something. And he did that, and he's a former military guy, and apparently that's a military thing. And he was because if we have an air raid or something, I'd rather run out with shoes on and no pants than pants and no shoes. And I was like, all right, cool. So guys do that, but no, I don't. I've never tried that. Never done that. And I don't have any real quirky things now.
Yeah. You do the same thing as me. Pants and then shoes. Yeah.
Pants and then shoes, man.
Yeah. What time do you get to the park before a game? Hopefully not too early so you get your sleep.
Say that last part again.
I said, hopefully you don't get there too early so you get your sleep. So
Yeah, if it were up to me and me only, I would probably get there around 2 hours before, which is a little earlier than most. Although I've been on crews that, everybody's down with getting there early. Minimum is an hour early. Yeah. But I would say on average, probably about an hour and a half before game time. It just depends on, again, what's available to you. The locker room's really cool. Sometimes you have an early game. If your game is at 10:30 or something, like a kid's day game, we're not going to be getting to the yard at 8:30 or anything like that. But
oh no,
earlier than is required.
Yeah,
in 2019 we played cards a lot. Before the game, and so we'd like to get in there and get that game rolling. And also, depends on what other duties we have in terms of rubbing baseballs, or if we are just getting to the city for a first time, maybe we need to go walk the field before the game or something like that.
Is that a thing? You guys walk the field before the game, right? If you're new to the city and stuff?
Yeah, not before every game, but usually the first game of the series, we'll go walk it. Until we're familiar with until you're familiar with all the cities. And then
regular clothes or umpire clothes when you do that?
Regular clothes, just your clothes that you wear to the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't go out there in uniform, and we don't go out there in shorts or anything. Just basically, go into the locker room, put your stuff down, and go do that right away. Well, usually the teams are out taking BP or something like that. Sometimes not. Sometimes there's nobody out there, but yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys do to pass time in the locker room?
Well, I just alluded to playing cards. That would be probably my number one favorite thing to do.
Spades.
And obviously in spades, yeah. And obviously when you get to double A and add that third guy into the mix, that's a game changer because, opens up a little more card game action. So that would be my activity of choice, but that's range anywhere from spades, cribbage is another big one.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I'm a big spades guy, and cribbage is okay, but it's good to know. Good to know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
But some guys have their stretching routines that they do.
Yeah.
I'm not really one of those. I'm not really big on like I have to do the exact same thing before every game. I mean, I just kind of get in there, like I said, get my uniform in order. That usually takes about 5 minutes, and then after that, depends on who you're with and what's available to you.
Yep. Do you guys do anything special? Wait, before that, when do you guys decide? I know this is a weird question, but when do you guys decide what color you guys are wearing before the game? I know, but
usually just when we're in the locker room. I mean, typically the plate guy gets to choose, but I haven't really ever. Well, I shouldn't say that.
It's usually black.
For me, yeah, I don't ever choose blue because bad things happen in blue. But yeah, no, I'm not really not that I don't like it, but I would never choose it. Really only worn it a handful of times, and so you kind of know. And also, definitely not during a night game. Most guys wouldn't choose blue for a night game, I don't think, but some would, I suppose. It's certainly not unheard of.
That's the best look. Nighttime blue, baby, with the lights. Very good.
All right. I'll keep that in mind, man. I'll keep that in mind. I'll give that some consideration next season, but then I'll probably still go with black anyway.
That looks good too. Do you guys have anything special you do before the walk?
Nah. Usually just like I don't know what you consider special, but I mean, usually just a, little handshake, little, bro hug, let's go get it kind of deal. But nah, not really. I'm sure there are crews that do have their routines that they do, but nah, just that, just, a little, hey, let's go get them and let's go do some business.
Yep. What do you guys do after the game, like in the locker room?
Well, okay, I'll take you through that. Come back into the locker room, and then obviously you're going to most of the time now, sometimes and typically when this factors in is either when we have a fireworks night, because that means all the fans are staying for the fireworks. So when that happens, you try to get out of there early. Otherwise, you're going to get caught in a traffic jam trying to get out of the parking lot.
Quick shower, quick whatever.
Yeah, but definitely come in, quick, shower, eat. That definitely happens pretty much every game. Is got the spread in there, so we'll eat. And
you got the what in there?
The spread, like the food. Just eat, shower, and relax a little bit. Maybe certainly talk about anything. Like if we had something crazy happen, certainly can discuss plays and whatnot. Certainly can, or if you have a situation during the game, such as an ejection or a bench is clearing situation, or
hopefully you never have one of those bench clearing. I mean,
yeah, that's you definitely don't want those, but at the same time, I mean, how else are you going to get good at handling those unless you have them from time to time? When I first started, to be honest, I was really
I would be scared.
Scared is not really the word I was looking for, but I mean, yeah, we can use that word. I was really scared of having. I mean, you don't want that at first. You don't want that. But as you get more comfortable in your own skin, umpire wise, and get more comfortable with what you're doing. Those are going to happen from time to time, and you need to be able to know how to handle it, because if you want to be a major league umpire, and how are you going to learn how to handle those situations unless they happen? So yeah, it's nice, maybe one a year or something. And I'll tell you this, the first time we had one, it was intense, man. It was a pretty exhilarating experience. Like, your heart's like going, oh, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is happening. These guys are all, this is happening right now. They're charging out here. Here we go. I remember that one. I remember them all, actually, because there haven't been many. I think I've had like 4 in
That's
5
pretty
years.
good.
It's not many. But yeah, you don't want those every other series by any means.
Oh, geez.
Simply because when you go back to, the report on those is,
that's a lot of paperwork. Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time, and especially if you're at a place where they have MILB TV. So a lot of times you have to wait a couple hours for the video to post so that you can go back and get the timestamps, and kind of coordinate your report with the actual video of the incident. So, but yeah, that would be one, or just a weird play. Those are things we would talk about in the locker room usually. And then once we're done talking about it, you kind of just leave it there.
Yeah.
Don't really bring it back to the hotel with you. Just kind of get it talked about in the locker room, get it ironed out, and go from there.
Yeah. The next game is the next game.
That's it.
Do you travel to the next city after the game, or wait until the next day? We talked about this briefly before, but.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, certain leagues prohibit that. I know that I know that I was in the Northwest League and we weren't allowed to do that at the time.
You what? The next day? I mean, after the game?
They didn't want us to do night travel in that league, but most leagues allow it. And I definitely prefer that. But usually the travel day is a day game most of the time, especially if it's on a Sunday. So, usually if we can go to the next city after the game, I think that's pretty much everybody's preferred method of doing it. For me, the reason is because like after a game is over, I'm never like ready for bed. I'm never like, I'm always like, you're on that like emotional high kind of, and you're not really, it's not like you just are going to, you have a 7:00 game, you get back to the hotel at 11:30 and you go to bed. Like that's not how I'm always like kind of wired. So you might as well just drive, through the night, get that out of the way. And plus,
in the car.
At night, it's a lot more soothing of a trip, a lot more of a soothing trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's, not a lot of traffic. It's quiet. It's just easier travel when nobody's on the road. Much safer, in my opinion.
Safer? Oh yeah, I agree. If you have an ejection report, what is the routine for that? You don't have to go too in depth because we just talked about it in the previous question, but.
Sure, man. Well, I mean, every ejection is different. A lot of them are similar to each other, but everyone's unique because, whenever we do our reports, they need to be as detailed as possible in terms of what was actually said. And you want to try to, if you're going to quote people, you want to make sure that you know exactly what they said and stuff like that. So, we have an ejection. Assuming it's I hate to use the word routine, but I mean, just a normal, guy argues and gets ejected, which would be like a quote unquote routine ejection. Then that basically is just, hey, go in the locker room, talk about it, and then go back to the hotel and write the report. Usually we kind of congregate in somebody's room and, go over it and write the report. If it's a detailed situation like the one I mentioned where, like with a throwing situation or a benches clearing, situation, or like let's say, you're arguing with a manager and they make contact with you, like they bump you or you accidentally bump them or whatever. That's actually never happened to me, fortunately, but I mean, I'm sure it may one day. But
You gotta point it.
yeah, those are more, a little more in depth, and those can take quite a while, hours. I mean, they can take a long, long time.
Okay.
Um,
Is there a time limit on ejection report? Like you gotta get it in by like the next day or something like that?
yeah, I mean, I want to say it's like by noon the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody does it. I mean, everybody just goes back and writes it right away. But the reason that provision is in there is for travel. Like if you have to go to the next city, then
Like the rest of the day, yeah.
but actually though, we had a couple in 2019 where it was on getaway day, and we ended up writing the report in the car. I remember one specifically. I don't remember the incident, but I remember we had a night ride after it, and we got the report done in the car, in the van, which was awesome. That's a real easy way to do it because, I mean, what else are you going to do?
You're all
just sit
together,
there
so
and
just talk about it.
just talk it through. Everybody's on the same page. Yeah, that's it. In double A, like with the three umpire crew, it's the ejecting umpire and the crew chief. Unless the ejecting umpire is the crew chief, then it's the crew chief and the two man that write the report. So, like for instance, like I was the lone man, and if one of the other two guys ejected somebody, I didn't really have to do anything. I didn't really have to appear in the report.
You just listen.
That happened a couple times. Yeah, but you still sit with them. Like if there's a report to be written, you still want to go and participate because that's how you learn. I had a real good crew chief that his communication skills were outstanding, and his he's really good at report writing. I learned a lot from him, and phone calls get made to guys that have more time in the game than you. We all know guys that are in higher levels than us that we trust and can call with questions about whatever we may need to know about writing reports. I mean, should we say this? Should we say it like that? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other things you should think my viewers shall know? Shall know about pregame and postgame routines?
Well, one thing I would say is that when you're in professional baseball and you're traveling with your partners, and you're with them all day, going to lunch and playing golf and spending time in the car together on car rides and whatnot. That's kind of the time where all the pregame stuff happens. But for all the other umpires out there, like let's say, because before that, like when I was working little league, high school, junior college, Division II, Division I, all that stuff, it's very common that you are working with somebody that you're not too familiar with. And so that time in the locker room or in the parking lot or wherever you may be, it's important to get on the same page and talk about how you're actually going to work that game. In the minor leagues, like I said, all that stuff, you're working with the same people every day, so you get really used to each other. You don't really need to have those conversations. So those are not very common in pro locker rooms.
You have a different partner every weekend and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Or multiple partners in one tournament or something like that. You're working a tournament or something like that, and you work with 3 or 4 different people. So, get together and say, hey, okay, how do you want to work this?
Yeah. That
kind of stuff is important to go over for all the young umpires out there. It's really important to have a good pregame, they call it, with your partner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And keep your shoes shiny. Windex.
Thank you, Ben, for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, man.
And guys, come back to find out what happens inside the locker room. Bye, guys.